Okay, so in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a framework that can turn one of your company's biggest liabilities, all that raw customer research, into its most valuable strategic asset. We're going to talk about how to stop burying the amazing insights you get from your customer interviews. But first, just take a second and really ask yourself this. After your team has a fantastic conversation with a customer, where does all that rich, nuanced information actually go? Does it just kind of live in someone's head, or maybe a super messy note stock somewhere? If you're like most companies, the honest-to-goodness answer is this. It lives in a graveyard. It's a digital resting place where all these valuable insights just go to die, never to be seen again. So let's really dig into this problem, because it's a silent killer of innovation. The research graveyard is the real reason so much customer research completely fails to have an impact on company strategy. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We've all seen it, that shared folder just packed with hours and hours of video recordings and super dense transcripts. It feels like you're holding onto an asset, but honestly, it's a trap. It's really just a collection of locked boxes with no keys. And this slide really makes a critical distinction. Over on the left, you've got that raw data, the recordings, the transcripts, which, believe it or not, is actually a liability. And why is that? Well, the friction to get any value out of it is immense. It takes a full hour to watch an hour of video, and that learning just evaporates almost immediately. But on the right, you have synthesized knowledge, a durable, actionable asset. That's the goal. So how do we fight this? This evaporation of knowledge? How do we actually forge that knowledge? Well, the solution is a super simple discipline habit that takes just 15 minutes. It's the antidote to that research graveyard we were talking about. And here it is, the interview snapshot. Now, this isn't just a summary. It's what you'd call a forcing function. The real magic is in the timing. You create it immediately after the interview, while the conversation is still totally fresh in everyone's minds. It's a collaborative ritual that turns a messy, free-flowing conversation into a dense, shareable packet of knowledge. As Teresa Torres points out here, in this world of continuous discovery, you just can't wait for some big synthesis phase. It's never going to happen. The synthesis has to be part of the interview process itself. And that's exactly the job of the snapshot. It makes synthesis a continuous, lightweight habit, not some heavy, once-in-a-while project. Okay, so what does one of these knowledge packets actually look like? Well, it's not just a wall of text. It's a really structured visual artifact, and it has 4 key parts. Let's break down the anatomy of it. So the crucial point here is that each section serves a really specific purpose. You've got the hook, which makes the customer memorable, then the context, which helps you segment your audience and start seeing patterns. The story is all about building empathy. And finally, the value. This is the real payload. This is where you extract the actionable opportunities for your strategy. So let's see how this actually builds out in practice. You start with a photo and a really memorable quote to make the customer a real human, not just another data point. Then you add some key facts for context. After that, you visually map out their story, which is so crucial for building empathy. And finally, you list out the gold, the opportunities and insights that are going to fuel your next big decisions. Now, as a leader, knowing the framework is one thing, right? But successfully implementing it with your team, that's a whole other ballgame. So let's walk through a super simple playbook to get this habit started and actually make it stick. So here's your 3-step game plan. It's simple. First, make that 15-minute debrief a non-negotiable ritual on the calendar. Second, use a consistent template. That consistency is what turns all these individual snapshots into a powerful, searchable library. And third, create one single shared home for all of your snapshots. This literally becomes your team's long-term memory. And this brilliantly lays out the real-world challenges. So to avoid the scribe problem, make sure synthesis is a conversation, not just one person's boring task. To fight the chore problem, you have to constantly show the team how their snapshots are directly informing the strategy. And to beat that perfection trap, you got to enforce the 15-minute time box. Remember, good enough and done is way better than perfect and forgotten. So we've covered the problem, we've covered the framework, and we've covered the implementation. Let's boil this all down to the one single action you can take to get started. This is it. Find your team's next customer interview on the calendar, and right after it, add a 15-minute meeting called Snapshot Debrief. Don't let anything get in the way of it. Your only job as a leader in that moment is to protect that time for synthesis. That one small act is the very first step to building your library. So ultimately, it all comes down to this one question. Every single interview your team conducts is either adding a stone to a research graveyard or it's adding a book to a living library of customer knowledge. As a leader, the choice of which one you build, well, that's yours.